Granblue Fantasy Rising and Granblue Fantasy Relink are both two huge games for the Granblue Fantasy brand. For many people, this will be their first time playing Granblue, and some people will be trying to get their friends to play Granblue as well. But where do you start with a series that's been running for over a decade? What are some alternatives to the mobile game? Can you just start with Relink or Rising? We will be answering all these things today. Let's get into it.
So slow!
Granblue Fantasy is a huge property coming from Cygames. And while it's just now picking up popularity in the West, it has been a very huge property over in Japan. Kinda like One Piece. And even speaking of One Piece, it's actually at a One Piece collab. That's how big it is. Granblue Fantasy is a story about a boy named Gran and his adventures as he travels through a world where every land is an island floating in the sky. And you meet a lot of really cool characters as well. This story has been told through a game called Granblue Fantasy, and it has spanned almost over a decade. You can play it pretty much on any browser. The URL is right here if you want to do that. And honestly, this game was one of my first mobile experiences because you can play it on a mobile browser, and I played it on my iPod when I was younger, and now I'm coming back to it as an adult, which is really, really cool. This game is probably one of the earliest instances of gacha that I've ever seen. Basically, you draw for a character and then that becomes a person on your party. It plays kind of like an RPG, and it has turn-based systems and things like that. But what if you're not into a gacha or an RPG system? How else can you get into Granblue? Well, as of present, Granblue is not just a browser-based game anymore. You have a lot of different ways to experience Granblue for different people that like to experience things different ways. You have the Granblue Fantasy anime, which is actually done by Mappa Studio. You also get a few side stories as well, and you get to see a lot of the characters that you guys know from other Granblue media. It also has really, really hype moments, like check this moment out. That dude Gran is actually so sick. And as I was saying, this covers a good part of the earlier portion of Granblue Fantasy, and this leads me to another point. Honestly, knowing the Granblue story is great. However, since it's a gacha, a lot of the characters that you'll run into in other medias of Granblue, such as Relink and Rising, don't have all these different characters in there. Sometimes some of these characters are literally from the gacha. So some characters you'll already have met, some characters you will not meet unless you unlock them, which actually places less importance on all the characters that are in the story and more importance on the characters that you care about, and you can look those characters up. And of course, sure, there are some other important parts of the story, but you don't need those parts to enjoy Rising and Relink, so there's no pressure. But what if you're not big into watching anime? Well, I have something for you guys. There is a Granblue manga that goes up to about the same exact place that the anime got up to. And you meet quite a few different characters that are also in these games, as well as some of the characters that you don't meet in the anime, and some of the other characters that you will also know from the gacha game. The key difference between the manga and the anime is I think the manga is actually a little bit more graphic, actually. It kind of has like moments where someone gets off-screen killed or something like that. They actually show it in the manga. It's kind of nuts. And I'll definitely like both the anime and the manga because they both give me very different vibes, very different feelings, because, you know, the anime kind of makes it a little bit more lighthearted. The manga's a little bit more gritty, and I like both of them for that. But this brings me to the most important question of all. Do I need to have prior Granblue experience at all to enjoy Rising or Relinked? The answer is, of course, no. You can enjoy both of these properties as their own thing. Basically, they kind of have their own contained stories that don't really intertwine with anything that is happening on the Granblue Fantasy canon. I think it obviously helps if you have some experience with the Granblue Fantasy canon, because you'll know some of these characters and how they already are before you get to that point. But usually Granblue characters are pretty easy to pick up on. They're not like anything too ridiculously deep unless you want them to be. And I like that about it. But honestly, I think you should check out probably at least one of these if you want to go into Granblue Rising or Relink, just so you have the baseline information and then you don't have to try to pick it up as you go. If you're just here for a great game experience, both of these games have it. I mean, definitely feel free to just pick them up if you want to have a good hack and slash game or a fighting game. But those are, in my opinion, some of the best resources to get into Granblue Fantasy with. And if I left anything out, please leave it down in the comment section below. I would definitely love some more resources, not only for me to check out, but for other people to check out as well. If you guys want to check out any of these resources, let me know which one you guys are interested in checking out. I definitely recommend the Granblue anime because it's really easy to watch. It's on Crunchyroll and it's about 2 seasons long. The first season's in English, the second season is only in Japanese. Anyway, this has been your boy Zeta Slow. If you're new here, definitely hit that subscribe button and please leave a like if you found this very helpful. I know this is a very baseline guide, but a lot of people have been asking me about should they get into the Granblue browser game, should they watch the anime, should they watch the manga, which one is better? They're all good. Definitely check one out. But anyway, until next time everybody, stay healthy, stay happy, and stay groovy. We out of here. Peace.